It's getting late, too late for some of the people we serve to even be awake, though I imagine many are. Not by choice, a mother in the Central Valley is awake, staring at her kitchen table, trying to work out where her sick child can receive the medical care that child needs, now that a federal grant supporting the only rural health care center in her community is in limbo. A federal employee is awake, trying to figure out how they'll make the rent next month if they're laid off. Maybe they spent a few decades serving this country overseas and were just called back home. Now what? People around the world are awake, watching humanitarian help. That means their next meal or safe harbor from disease has disappeared, wondering why, in their time of most need, their longtime ally has decided to abandon them. Because the Trump administration has turned so many of our lives into a series of question marks. Because this president and his cronies like Elon Musk and Russ Vought are putting politics and profits over people's lives, over people's livelihoods, over lives. They're creating chaos, and then somehow, worst of all, they're gloating about it. Imagine gloating about acts so callous. Chaos seems to be the watchword with this administration, but the chaos is not a consequence of this. The chaos is the goal. The chaos is the purpose. By throwing everything at the wall, they can create confusion. They hope to muddy the waters while opening the floodgates. Unconstitutional executive orders, illegal memos, illegally accessing private citizens' data. You name it. The scope and the speed of these actions is almost impossible to comprehend. And the impact is incalculable. This is all part of a larger effort to consolidate power, every possible power, in the control of one man, well, maybe two men, so they can plunder the country to benefit themselves and their billionaire buddies. And what is this all about, what we've witnessed in the first couple weeks of this administration? What do these disparate acts have in common? What is the through line? What is it that the seizure of data belonging to millions and millions of Americans by Elon Musk, what does that have in common with the efforts to shutter development assistance, American development assistance around the world through USAID? What does that have in common with efforts to fire top prosecutors at the Justice Department and purge FBI agents at the Federal Bureau of Investigation? What does this have in common, too, with pardoning violent criminals who attacked this building? What does it have in common with a funding freeze and then a memorandum to implement the funding freeze and then the repeal of the memorandum and all the confusion that has caused? What does the mass deportation order have in common with all of this? What is the story of what they're doing here? How does this all fit together? And it fits together in this way. This is an effort to try to consolidate power, all the power of this government, in the hands of Donald Trump and a few of his hand-picked, very wealthy billionaire friends. It is designed to consolidate that power to essentially take the resources of this country and enrich themselves and their friends. An effort to enrich themselves which would not be possible, will not be possible, if our system of checks and balances work. But if they can somehow take apart these institutions, if they can somehow persuade or demand or cow the people in this institution and the House of Representatives and the courts and the Supreme Court, if they can prevent us from playing our institutional role as a check and balance, then what is left between them and the Treasury? Nothing. Nothing. And so this is the goal. Discredit the government, dismember checks and balances, so that they can raid the till. Make government purposely dysfunctional. Discredit every institution so that all is left is the power of the strong man and the wealth of this country can be stripped away. Checks and balances be damned. Congressional authority be damned. The president wants to steamroll all of that, and at the moment it appears he is succeeding.